I have the most technically minded man I could find available.
Where?
And a bag of evidence. Yeah, it's got to be you at the moment. So, Karun, can you just explain to us what is the difference between this spring and this spring?
But apart from being one grey, one red, quite simply, the cars were supplied at the start of the season without red spring, which, as you can see from there, is slightly longer. Ooh, I'll just drop one. There you go. It's slightly longer. But the reality is that is a spring that was allowed to run last year. The teams were supplied with these at the start of the season in the cars because they hadn't yet produced enough of those. Now, the teams are all given a 170-page document, which is full of all of the parts. It's like a parts catalog, if you imagine going to Argos or Asda, one of those places. Somewhere in that catalog, at some point earlier this season, it was removed, that the line about being able to use that was removed. Now, from a team's perspective, you know, they are obliged to have a car that's legal and complies with the regulations. But you have to feel sympathy, and I have to say, every other team in the pit lane feels sympathy because a line has basically been removed from a document without them being told about it, and that just seems really harsh. And to David's point, this is about driver comfort, so maybe to explain to people at home, the spring sits behind the throttle pedal of the driver. When the driver presses it, that spring and a damper aids the way that the pedal comes back at you. And different drivers have different preferences in terms of how they would like that response. So it's very much about comfort. It doesn't add lap time, it doesn't add performance. You could argue, and some might argue, that if a driver's more comfortable, they can go quicker, but it's so negligible. My personal view is that it's the sort of thing where the FIA, in other instances, would have seen similar things and gone to the team and said, look, you're not allowed to do that anymore. We're going to turn a blind eye on this occasion. We'll let you off the hook. Get it fixed for tomorrow. Don't do it again. And I think that would have been the fairer thing to do and the right thing to do.
Fair, maybe one thing, but
Yeah.
Sport is sport, rules are rules, and once they found something like that, you've kind of got to abide by them.
I get it, but there's also an element of common sense involved. And in this case, everyone's in it together in some sense, right? You know, it's a single supplier who supplied a part that they had to because they didn't have the new ones available at the start of the season. So at that point, the teams are playing ball with them, and you would expect a bit of reciprocity when, you know, when things are getting removed from the rules, for example.
Well, Karun, thank you for explaining that in great detail there. We will be back to you for more technical analysis later. But let's hear from team principal at Porsche, Florian Modlinger. Obviously, Karun explained to us the differences between those springs. Clearly, it's not going to compromise safety of the driver. It's not going to improve performance. And I believe that you have put your intent to appeal in with the FIA. Are you actually going to convert this and appeal? I know you've got about 96 hours to make that decision.
Yeah, we handed it in clearly yesterday. Now we have to investigate and analyze if we will go for the appeal, clearly, because for us it's a disappointment when you see Antonio winning on track without any performance advantage, with a great race, and taking this win away from him. And therefore I think it's a big loss for us, clearly, but also for the sport and also for Formula E in general, because these consequences are really harsh. Clearly, the spring was an old part which was not highlighted when it was removed from the catalog. We missed it, was still there. And now we have to see what we do in the next 96 hours.
Yeah, and it seems unlikely that you'll have been the only ones. It feels like Porsche's kind of taken a bit of a hit for the rest of the paddock.
Yeah, this is the next thing. We have a bit the impression and the feeling that not all teams are treated equally. That's our personal impression. And for FIA World Championship, this must be guaranteed, also for the future, that all teams are treated equally and with the same approach. And therefore we are fighting for.
All right, well, Florian Modlinger, hopefully justice will be served in one way or another. Thank you so much and good luck for this race today. We'll hopefully take the win today with the right spring in the car.
Yeah, it sucks, man. Like, you know, I've almost never been disqualified in my whole life, so that was almost a first for me. And especially after a win, you know, if you lose a 7th or a 5th, or it always sucks, but a win, especially after the whole road to lead up to that race win was, yeah.
For what it was, it's not really bringing much performance for Antonio, so it seems a bit unfair for him, but we have to take what we can in this championship. Yeah, just full focus on today, really. Last night was nice to get the news, I guess, in some ways, but the focus was already on today.
The throttle damper, you know, it's no performance gain, and that's where it can be a bit more of a grey area. Obviously, it's black and white in terms of rules, but performance-wise, there's nothing for him. So, yeah, commiserations to Dak, but obviously he'll bounce back.
It is what it is. It's a massive blow on our championship because those 25 points were going to definitely put us back in contention, and now makes our life a little bit harder. But yeah, we go race by race, and the positive thing is that we've done it on track, and everyone saw it. And I mean, the winning feeling and the winning accomplishment feeling, that's not going away.